We have some live games going on right now. It is the Audible Cecil Lammy Sigmund Bloom Week 4 recap of the early games. Let's go.
You got a team, here's a word to the wise. You want to dominate your league? Go to football, guys.
Football. I'm living in a fantasy. Football. Got everybody mad at me. Football. Cause every game I had to win. Football. I gotta be a champion. Football. I'm living in a fantasy.
And we are here for you, everybody. It is the Audible and Week 4 recap. Doing the early games, of course, just like we do when there's no Broncos game in the afternoon. So here we jump into Pittsburgh and Minnesota. It's 24-21. The Steelers are 3-1. Are they for real? Minnesota is 2-2. You're not facing the Bengals this week. Carson Wentz, who goes 350 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 INTs, was sacked 6 times. But at least he got it to Justin Jefferson for 10 catches for 126 yards. Xavier Scott gets one of the receiving touchdowns. Jalen Naylor gets the other receiving touchdown there. And Jordan Addison had 4 for 114 in this one. By the way, Scott had 6 for 43, including that receiving touchdown. TJ Hawkinson with 4 for 39. Jordan Mason, 3 catches, 15 yards, and then 16 carries, 57 yards on the ground. So hard fought, a surge of 15 fourth quarter points, but not enough, Sigmund, to take down the mighty Steelers.
No, this was, interesting in so much as Steelers have always had that link to Ireland Super Bowl rematch, the first Super Bowl Steelers win the year I was born. And, Wentz's stats, like you said, Steve, this isn't the Bengals, mostly came in garbage time, but garbage time turned into a possible win for Minnesota. They did have a possession with a chance to win. Minnesota's offensive line was decimated in this game. They lost 2 more. They already lost 1 starter. Christian Darrisaw just came back. By the way, they're facing Cleveland next week. Brian Kelly, the center, was a concussion, but Brian O'Neill, the excellent right tackle, was hurt on a field goal attempt. So let's watch that. Jordan Mason, again, it's not the Bengals, so it was a little tougher. Steelers run defense firmed up with Derek Harmon. And then Xavier Scott was in as the passing back in garbage time. So that's why he got the garbage time touchdown. We did finally get that ceiling game from Justin Jefferson. At least we know Carson Wentz can give him one. I don't know if J.J. McCarthy can. I don't know if Justin Jefferson will have a ceiling game against Cleveland next week. You did see Jordan Addison make that splash with the 82-yard catch. Got them into the game late in the fourth quarter. It was 24-6 with 11:18 left. And Addison's big play had them almost back in the game. But not quite, as the Steelers defense makes the plays. Steelers winning in the trenches here in the run game and getting pressure on Carson Wentz all day. And again, Carson Wentz with an even bigger test next week against Cleveland.
Now it is Carson Wentz, Bloom, but before we jump into the Steelers side, I'm not saying alarming they got that many sacks, but like we didn't think the Steelers defense was going to be quite like that,
right?
After the start this year.
And without Alex Highsmith, but you see Herbig making a big impact, TJ Watt making some plays, Patrick Queen blitzing from outside of Watt making a play. And Deshaun Elliott was back. He had an interception. That's helping a banged up secondary if they can get, if they're going into their bye also, get Joey Porter back, get Alex Highsmith back soon. So, this was a game, we're talking about the Steelers defense, getting pressure on the quarterback, defining how they win games. But I think this was a game also on offense.
Yes.
Where they got back to defining how they win.
Well, and you got the Jalen Warren fantasy GMs waking up on the wrong side of the bed. Like, wait, what? And then you had 99 yards. Hopefully you don't play in a 100-yard league. Only get points with 100 yards. That's old school fantasy. But 99 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns for Kenneth Gainwell. That's right. The rookie Caleb Johnson actually getting some work, 6 for 22 in this one. So you had Gainwell with those 2 rushing touchdowns. You had DK Metcalf, 5 for 126 and 1 touchdown. By the way, Gainwell had 6 catches for 35 yards, so well over 100 all purpose there. Not much else from anyone else. Aaron Rodgers, 200 yards, 1 touchdown, no INTs. Your defense doing the work. Your ground game, Gainwell doing the work. And of course, Metcalf chipping in as well.
Winning in the trenches. And that's the thing, on both sides of the ball, winning in the trenches. And that was not something we saw on both sides of the ball consistently. But the Steelers go into the bye 3-1. Such a Mike Tomlin team. And Aaron Rodgers is going to be safe with the ball. Even the 80-yard touchdown was a slant that DK Metcalf showed everyone, I'm still fast. All right. So, not exactly, you're not going to see air show with Aaron Rodgers, but he was comfortable. The running game was on track because of the run blocking. Kenneth Gainwell, who we saw early in the season, he actually led the team in snaps in the first week. And then Jalen Warren, Aaron Rodgers saying he wants to get the ball to him more as a receiver. But you see how Kenneth Gainwell, he looked like a feature back out there. I mean, he looked like a credible NFL starting running back in all of the roles that the game asked him to play. Now they're going into a bye. So, this is a good problem to have for the Steelers because they like both of the running backs, not Caleb Johnson, who didn't do anything with his redemption opportunity in this game. Calvin Austin threw a good block on Metcalf's touchdown, also got hurt in this one with a shoulder injury. Again, going into the bye, we'll hear more about that. But this was a game where the Steelers dictated the script. The Steelers dictated what mattered, and it was just out physicaling the opponent. That sounds like Steelers football on a Sunday morning in Ireland.
Yeah. What happens to, Michael Penix? We talk about the next game up. It's the Commanders and the Falcons. And a week after getting benched, Penix sends the Falcons to the promised land with a 34-27 win over the Commanders. Let's talk about Marcus Mariota. Couple of touchdowns, one pick, 156 yards. It was Deebo Samuel, 6 for 72 and a touch. Luke McCaffrey, 2 for 21 and a touch. Talked about on the waiver show last week. Probably going to talk about him again this week. Zach Ertz with only a couple of catches there. It was a jumbled backfield, of course. Less Jeremy McNichols because Chris Rodriguez had 7 carries, 59 yards. JCM had 7 carries, 47 yards. So both healthy clips, 8.4 and 6.7 respectively, but not enough to win in the end.
No, and this team, we're going to see the real team when we see Jaden Daniels. Marcus Mariota was fine, safe with the ball, short passing. Goes deep once, interception. Running game not really able to get on track because of the game script, although you did see Chris Rodriguez have a big run in this game. And Krosky Merritt also looking good, but not getting the game scripts they want. We're not necessarily fearing Atlanta. We're still trying to triangulate some of these teams as Washington was able to move the ball against them with the short stuff. And as we saw down the stretch, Mariota trusts Deebo Samuel. So if we see Mariota again without Terry McLaurin, that's the other thing. Everything's getting compressed now. This team doesn't have a dominant running game to begin with. Jaden Daniels and the threat him running. Yeah, Marcus Mariota has a threat of running. And Mariota wasn't terrible as a streamer here. From a dynasty perspective, you see Luke McCaffrey with a little flash in this game, another kickoff return, helping the team with good field position, also catching a touchdown. So with that opportunity with Terry McLaurin out, showing that he could do a little bit. And we'll see with Washington next week. They may need Jaden Daniels back for a little bit of offensive firepower, although the game against the Chargers, we'll talk about the Chargers, maybe not as much offensive firepower as we thought.
Yeah, we will get to that in just a little bit. And now, as Jared says in the chat room, Penix has officially 1 win where the opposing team scores more than 7 points. Is it 2 wins or 1 win? Either way, we know it's not a lot. And, they scored a lot and they scored enough today. How did they get those 34 points? Well, Michael Penix goes 313 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 INT. It's Drake London with 8 for 110 and a touch. It's Kyle Pitts. Yes, that's right. 5 for 70 and a touchdown there as well. Bijan Robinson. Do I need to say anything more, Bloom? It's just like it's like a fine box of wine. It's like a fine, just like savor it. You know what I mean? Swish it around. Don't spit it out. Don't spit it out, baby. But man alive, Bijan Robinson, 75 yards on the ground, rushing touchdown. Tyler Algier had 51 yards, rushing touchdown there as well. And then Bijan with 4 for 106, a 69-yarder, nice as a receiver for 106 as a receiver, 75-yard on the ground. And well, here you go, Falcons. You get a win to go to 2-2.
Yeah, this is a game. Again, we're trying to triangulate some of these units, some of these offenses and defenses. With Penix, we saw the worst game of his career by far. Granted, it's only been 6 starts, 7th NFL start, but he was just terrible against Carolina. Again, when you come back to that later when you say he lost to Carolina 30-0, but Washington, who was already a defense that was vulnerable, so many injuries in the secondary, and they were able to pick on Washington's defense. So maybe what we got reinforced, not so much learning about Penix. I mean, he's not dead in the water, but just learning that Washington's defense is one we're going to pick on. But again, when we talk about the Chargers, put a pin in that. as we'll learn next week. Two banged up units, but is this a banged up Falcons offense? In one respect, Darnell Mooney goes out with a hamstring injury, but that's just going to focus targets on Drake London, who was magnificent in this game. He caught a deep ball. He caught a short touchdown. He made a professional catch on a ball that was, I don't know, like 10%, 5% likelihood of him making the catch at a key point in the game. So that's going to really help reinforce that confidence. And you see Kyle Pitts playing with emotion, Cease. Emotion. Now his tools, his gifts may bring to bear fantasy results for this Falcons team. They're going into their bye 2-2, and they know who their signature player is. And Bijan Robinson, if you took number 1 overall, you were right. And even if he's not number 1 overall for fantasy, what we're seeing, Cease, is in the classic Chris Berman way. You cannot stop Bijan Robinson. You can only hope to contain him. You know he's going to break loose, whether it's as a receiver or as a runner, and influence the game and influence your fantasy matchup. And that's still with Tyler Algier getting a touchdown, getting 16 carries to close out this game. So they have that finisher. Everything feels okay. But again, when you face Washington, at least their defense, it should.
And now that we're a month in, not the quarter poll's at the end.
Yeah.
And it's not 16 games anymore. But anyway, now you can go, start everyone against the Commanders.
Yeah.
Okay, start everyone against the Saints. Oh, the Bills. The Bills call off the Dogs. Did they do that? 31-19 is the final score as Buffalo rolls on. And the Saints continued to drop games, of course, because Spencer Rattler is out there. There's other reasons, but Rattler just doesn't. It just doesn't add much. And yes, I was not a fan of Rattler in the pre-draft process, but you're not seeing those flashes that you need to like build on. And there's something there. Not my opinion. Bloom could totally be wrong, and he's just a Hall of Famer waiting to happen. But I don't think he can play, and I think the Saints are basically wasting time. So when's Tyler Shuck watch? Alvin Kamara watch always. 15 for 70 on the ground. Kendre Miller getting 65 yards on the ground and a rushing touchdown there. Rashid Shaheed 4 for 47. Why am I reading these? Chris Olave with the receiving touchdown. That's why he may have started Olave there. Maybe Brandon Cooks or Juwan Johnson, both with 3 catches at about 20 yards each. Olave also throwing a pick in this one because you're going to try everything against Buffalo.
Yeah.
Because you kind of have to try everything against Buffalo, especially when I think Vic called off the Dogs.
Yeah. See, you care about a player playing on their birthday. Does that matter?
Nah.
Yeah, it was Spencer Rattler's birthday and Tyler Shuck's birthday.
Okay.
And you did have a touchdown pass to Chris
Oh
Olave.
my God, they both have the same birthday?
They both have the same birthday.
This reminds me, and this is for the fans out there, when it was Teddy Bridgewater's birthday. And so Vic Fangio, every day was like, hey, everybody, which Teddy Bridgewater a birthday? Happy birthday. And so our dear friend Mike Kliss, he says, well, it's Drew Lock's birthday too. Vic says that it is.
How have you never told that story before?
I don't know. It's because,
wonderful.
hot Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock talk, but yeah, it was Shuck and Rattler's birthday. Okay, there you go.
Yeah. Rattler throws a touchdown to Chris Olave. They should have believed in the birthday. They actually, again, this is a little team that they hung in against the 49ers. They hung in against the Cardinals. They didn't hang in against the Seahawks on the road, but they did hang in this game up in Buffalo. And Spencer Rattler, he's safe with the ball. See, I think what he is a quintessential backup quarterback. He's going to come in. He's not going to lose the game. The game's not going to overwhelm him. He can scramble. Is he going to make the plays? They call a Philly special at the end of the first half at the goal line, and it's an interception. And come on, Kellen Moore. Obviously this team is playing for Kellen Moore. Well, you don't undermine them with play calls like that. Not in that moment in the game. Not when you have a chance to go into halftime, really feeling like you're going to pull off this upset. And then you did have a potential go-ahead touchdown to Brandon Cooks on 3rd and 13 that was overturned on replay. But it was, he tried to stick it in there, Rattler. So you thought, well, hey, the Saints are going to lose. Rattler's going to be scrappy, and it's going to create volume and fantasy value. But this game was actually close enough, and enter Kendre Miller. The running game was revived in this game. So you didn't have Rashid Shaheed, Juwan Johnson, most notably. You did get a touchdown, at least from Chris Olave. But now you're wondering, next week against the Giants. Kellen Moore wants a balanced team, and Kendre Miller scores the touchdown in this one and just looks good. Looks like it's a 1-2 punch. Maybe this helps Kamara. Don't despair if you have Kamara, because if he's not taking so much punishment every week, he also caught 4 passes. That's been up and down. But maybe this helps Kamara in the same way that we've seen Kyron Williams have a little more pep in his step since Blake Corum is getting more work and looking good the same way that Kendre Miller is. So don't let that get buried in this one. It's a balanced offense now. The team is competitive. I think Kellen Moore looks like a good hire, and it's better than we expected for fantasy. It was almost a better outcome. And, kind of an interesting game next week down here against the Giants.
All right, let's talk about the Buffalo side in this, and it is Josh Allen, 209, 2 touchdowns, 1 INT. Khalil Shakir with 5 for 69, nice touchdown there as well. Dalton Kincaid, 1 catch, but 1 touchdown, 28 yards as well. Keon Coleman, 3 for 45, and this team, well, kind of like Green Bay, you don't really have a number one, so you're spreading it around, and, well, that's what you get there. James Cook is what you get, a lot of that as well. Josh Allen rushing touchdown, 45 yards. James Cook, 117 yards and 1 rushing touchdown there as well. So, yeah, sounds like a Buffalo recipe for success. Just keep doing this 17 times, and you're going to be pretty good.
Yeah, see, my first line on my recap here is just what we expect. I mean, this is just they're doing it every week. Josh Allen's going to make some plays as a runner. Josh Allen's going to make some plays as a passer. He's going to fluctuate. This week he came in just fine with some help, again, from Spencer Rattler and the Saints, Kendre Miller keeping this game closer. So Josh Allen had to push the envelope a little bit as a passer at times, but not enough to make Keon Coleman a good play, not enough to bring Josh Palmer in. You did get a catch from just when we thought we had something with Dalton Kincaid. You got a touchdown catch from Dalton Kincaid, so that's fine from 28 or 26 out. Khalil Shakir was fine for fantasy, but just know his touchdown was kind of an underhanded pitch from outside, kind of a weird play where it was rumbling, stumbling, bumbling, a couple of different chances, and Shakir's good after the catch. I don't take anything away from that. But, this wasn't a game where Buffalo's passing game was really humming against the Saints, but they were moving the ball. You did see the first turnover of the year for the Bills offense. Jonas Sanker, rookie safety, making a big play. So, maybe that makes them reel it in a little bit. Not a dominant performance, but good enough. And like you said, Cease, good enough is just fine. The marathon, not a sprint. That marathon has the Patriots coming to Buffalo next week.
Yeah, Patriots coming to Buffalo, and Buffalo, you're feeling very, very nice. Speaking of your notes, Bloom, just what we expected. 34-10, Lions over the Browns. Yeah. But, I mean, you could say, a little more output offensively because a Brown defense. They can put up, quite a fight. Well, 34-10. There you go. That's the fight you had. If you're Cleveland, you're 1-3. You're going to always have that one. And Detroit is now 3-1. Let's get into the Browns side. You saw Joe Flacco throw a couple of picks. You saw Dylan Gabriel throw a pass. Quinshon Judkins, 21-82, 1 rushing touchdown. How many times has this happened, Bloom? And I'm not saying this, so please don't at me, bro. I am not saying like, hey, remember when LaDainian Tomlinson held out and then everyone panicked in fantasy drafts and then he showed up and balled out? I'm not saying that. So, again, don't at me, bro. But don't you feel that same way about Judkins? Like, oh, my God, such worry, such nervousness, such panic. And all of a sudden, here's Judkins, and every week you want to start him. Isaiah Bond, by the way, 3 for 58. Jerry Jeudy, 3 for 48. I'll get to Judkins, 4 for 33 as a receiver. And let's talk about the Browns falling short here.
Yeah, it's rough times. The Browns offense. I see people saying, football minds saying, well, Joe Flacco gives them the best chance to win.
Hey.
I mean, it's probably true.
Win what?
Yeah.
Win what to Cleveland? Where are you going? You're going nowhere. What are you doing?
Right, because they have a defense, and now, like you said, they have Quinshon Judkins and the running game and that physical edge to the running game. So at least that no matter the game script, no matter the opponent, Quinshon Judkins, they're just establishing him because he fits with the character of how they want to win. When you have the lowest scoring offense in the league last year, that's kind of how you have to win. But you saw a bad Flacco interception. You saw Jerry Jeudy fall down on an interception looking for a flag. You saw another fumble that they got. It was overturned by a penalty, and then another fumble late by Joe Flacco. Again, this is the Joe Flacco that gives this team the best chance to win. So yeah, at some point, you got to ask Dylan Gabriel, Shadur Sanders, what do we have there? Uh, we know what we have with Judkins. We don't have much with Jerry Jeudy. We don't have much with Cedric Tillman, who now leaves with a hamstring injury. Isaiah Bond, as you mentioned, leading the team in receiving. Don't have much with David Njoku. Harold Fannin had, it was okay. Detroit's defense isn't exactly a shutdown defense. They're going to face Minnesota next week, but I think Judkins is the only guy you can trust. And it just seems like Cleveland can never even come close. It's like a jigsaw puzzle where you're not missing one or two pieces. You're missing half of the puzzle pieces, and it keeps changing which one they're missing. The most important one, though, quarterback, they're not. That's like not even be able to find the corner pieces. So Detroit, though, they have all the pieces to their puzzle.
Yeah, well, this isn't even Lucy with the football and Charlie Brown. This is like Lucy sitting there with the football and Charlie Brown shows up with a hockey mask in full goalie gear, right? Like, okay, Cleveland, you have no idea. If you're thinking Joe Flacco gives you the best chance to win. Newsflash, Cleveland, you're not winning the Super Bowl. So let's see. Detroit, though, maybe, maybe. Detroit Lions with those 34 points today. Jared Goff goes 168, 2 touchdowns, 1 INT. Amon-Ra St. Brown, the sun god. All hail. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 7 for 70 and 2 touchdowns there. Jamison Williams, 2 for 40 on the day. Sam Laporte. I know it's Laporta. 3 for 39. And Jahmyr Gibbs, 15 for 91, a rushing touchdown. And here we go. David Montgomery, 9 for 12. So I start him this week in Festival OG Bloom, and well, I missed. I missed starting him last week. Anyway, let's get off that and talk about the Lions' dominance on Sunday.
Yeah, you wonder what was going to happen here because we saw a Packers defense that we think a lot of. A Packers team that lost to the Browns last week, but we saw a Packers defense we thought a lot of really thwart the Lions at every angle. Like they were waiting for them at every pass. At every place they were trying to find an opening, whether it was against the pass or the run. And we saw Cleveland from a yardage standpoint, even when Ravens were able to do well. And look, I take Cleveland fans have educated me that really they held the Ravens in check for a lot of that game. And then Denzel Ward went out. So, what's this Lions team that really punked the Ravens last week? And it wasn't, they weren't able to stunt. Okay. This wasn't like the Bears game in week 2 where you're dusting off all the plays in the playbook. Okay. But this is exactly what you're looking for, especially coming off of such a physical performance on Monday night on the road against the Ravens. You saw Amon-Ra St. Brown, just easy touchdowns. I mean, he doesn't lead in league in touchdowns, lead the league in easy touchdowns. So John Morton, everything's fine there. Jahmyr Gibbs is so consistent. You didn't expect much. Look, they shut down the run. Gibbs was good. David Montgomery, you didn't expect much. So hopefully you benched him, even though he had that amazing game on Monday night. When the matchup calls for it, Montgomery's going to be a good play. Jamison Williams had a drop. But again, the volumes, it's going to be fine. Jamison Williams, it's going to be fine. He's just not getting enough targets because of the way that they're winning. But in a typical game last year, he was still getting 5, 6, 7, 8 targets. That's going to come. They're going to turn into touchdowns more often. Oh, yeah. Speaking of stunting, next week against Cincinnati. Yeah, that's when you're stunting. That's whenever get that 50 burger out. Yum, yum.
Yum, yum. Give me a napkin. It's 4 games down, 4 games to go in part 1. Part 1. There will be no part 2. We do early games. The Broncos don't play, and so we can get back to football and enjoying football. Thank you for being here with us on the Audible. Thank you for listening to our podcast. Thank you for watching here on our YouTube. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you never miss a vid. We appreciate you very much for that. Carolina and New England. Okay, 42-13. Patriots win. They're 2-2. Panthers lose. They're 1-3. Bryce Young is what? Andy Dalton is what? Okay, a couple of touchdowns here. 1 for Young, 1 for Dalton. Tedero McMillan, 4 for 62. Tommy Tremble, 5 for 42 and a touchdown. Mitchell Evans, 3 for 23 and a touchdown. Nobody started him. Chuba Hubbard, 10 for 49 in this one, and then 3 for 20 as receiver here, but just outclassed, outmanned, and, outscored in a big way on Sunday.
Yeah, see, sometimes early in the season, there'll be a trend, and we'll think we're getting to know a team, and then there'll be this outcome that doesn't match the trends at all. And the next week, we're like, do we have to rethink this team? Do we have to rethink the Panthers after they beat the Falcons? No, we don't need to rethink the Panthers. This is a bad team. I mean, at this point, he's like, what else do we need to wave the white flag on Dave Canales and Bryce Young and say, like, it's Dave Tepper's got to be watching this. And like, this is not working. This is not working when you lose like this to the Patriots. No disrespect to Mike Vrabel's Patriots. But when you lose like this to the Patriots, something fundamentally is missing from your team. And we saw it against Arizona, and we saw it against Jacksonville. It was just that weird game. You know, NFL reminds us there's going to be wild variance week to week, but still we know the mean. We're trying to triangulate that mean, and the mean is this is just a bad team. And the sad thing is, Canales, first drive was easy, 4 different receivers, touchdown to Chelmy Tremble. Oh, it's going to be okay. You know, we're coming off a win, we got some confidence, and nothing. And then the air just goes out of the balloon. Nothing at all. Even in garbage time, like you said, Cece, it was Andy Dalton. So they can't even, garbage time was good against Arizona. I said, well, maybe we can, don't dumpster dive. Don't live on garbage time because this is what can happen. Tyrone McMillan, I mean, I'm not going to blame him. He was still fine. 4 for 62 is a fine floor game. But, you're not getting the garbage time bump from him. But I think the bigger question is, where do the Panthers go from here? Because last week's game was a blip. We'll see. Next week, they're facing a Miami team that also is at this point in week 1. And then they kind of got out of it after the players-only meeting. Players-only meeting, Carolina, anything to show a sign of life.
Yeah, anything. Somewhere Dave Tepper to be yelling at a players-only meeting. You can't do anything without me knowing. Patriots, they did a bunch today with those 42 points. Drake May goes 2 touchdowns, 203 yards on the day. Stephon Diggs did something. 6 for 101. Awesome. Hunter Henry continues 2 for 39 and 8 touchdowns. Looks like Matt Collins got the other touchdown. Hey, Ramondre Stevenson fumbled away 9 for 38 in this one, and then a catch for 3 yards. So that counts. No fumbles this week for anybody. So Travion Henderson goes 7 for 32 and a touch. All right. Antonio Gibson, 6 for 27 and a touch. Okay. Drake May, rushing touchdown there as well to benefit his fantasy day. But outside of Diggs and Henry continuing to score, well, it wasn't a whole lot there on the New England side, except for a lot of points and a win.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's one of those ones where you look at the points, and for fantasy, you're ready to look and see what your Patriots did. But unless it was Drake May, and for some reason you went with Stephon Diggs this week, you might not be that happy. You know who's happy? See, you covered Josh McDaniels.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't this the kind of game Josh McDaniels comes out? Oh, yeah, we got it all figured out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's all brilliant. This is, see, it's all working.
I'm the smartest guy in the room. Just ask me.
Right. And this was Carolina. But for fantasy, we've seen Drake May. He's still not getting a lot of it. There was some better play calling in this game. Don't get me wrong. So this was maybe the first game that he got some help from his play calling. But is that just because everything's going to work against the Panthers, at least when they come out and play like this, which is 3 out of 4 weeks? On the backfield, you've got a Henderson touchdown. You got that Gibson touchdown, so redemption for Gibson. And Stevenson did have a first and goal carry like from the 7. But I think you're just going to see this as a split backfield. And even when they score 42 points, it's not going to yield a reliable play for fantasy. Kayshon Boutte, we had one 100-yard game from him. Now we have one from Diggs. We had a 2-touchdown game from Henry. At least he had a touchdown, but you're not necessarily going to be week to week counting on him, knowing how much this offense fluctuates. And Marcus Jones, by the way, contributing an 88-yard punt return early, getting this going on. So New England goes to Buffalo next week and tries to play spoiler.
Trying to play spoiler alert. That is for sure. Speaking of spoiler alert, speaking English, I'll learn how to do it eventually. But you had teased this, Bloom, industry term.
Yeah.
We're here to talk about it now because the G-Men, the New York Giants, win over the Los Angeles Chargers 21-18, the final score. And it's Justin Herbert going across the country and throwing 2 picks, 2 INTs, 1 touchdown for Herbert with 203 yards. Quentin Johnston, 8 for 98 and a touch. So you're just setting him in your lineup every single week, forgetting about it. That's awesome. Keenan Allen, 5 for 37. So it's enough. You still got Keenan Allen. Amarian Hampton, what do you got there? 100-yard rusher for the young man. Of course, with no Najee Harris. It's all on Hampton. 12 carries, 128 yards, 1 rushing touchdown, big one of 54. Also 5 catches for 37 yards. It was Aronde Gadsden with 2 catches for 16 yards. Ladd McConkey, 1 catch for 11 yards. So how the mighty have fallen. It's a week-to-week league, Bloom, and, well, any given
Yeah.
Sunday, Giants got him.
Yeah, they got him. And Marion Hampton had a 54-yard touchdown run. There were two different points in this game when you just saw the back of his jersey as he's chugging down the sidelines. You see that, the way that Justin Herbert's been playing, the way the Giants secondary has been playing. You thought, oh, yeah, the Chargers, undefeated Chargers, still undefeated. No. It's a tough game for Justin Herbert. They lose Joe Alt. Let's see, X-rays negative, going to have an MRI. Next week, Washington again, so they'll keep that in mind. So even if they have to go without their starting tackles, the Giants, and what we do have with Abdul Carter and Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, the Giants, Dexter Lawrence, interception tip to himself, almost returned it. Thick six, they call it these days. The kids call it almost a thick six. As Herbert just had a rough afternoon. Quinn Johnston did not have a rough afternoon. And see, this might be one of the best coaching jobs we've seen at taking a player you inherit from a previous regime and really identifying what they were doing wrong, rebuilding the player's confidence. Jim Harbaugh's good for that. And getting the most out of a player where now he's their number one receiver. He's their number one receiver for fantasy. And the touchdown pass, you still see Justin Herbert through it. Just a beautiful, he makes a 36-yard touchdown pass look like a little screen pass as far as how much touch and accuracy he can put on those passes when he is dialed in. But otherwise, it was a long afternoon for Herbert. So he now didn't do much. Ladd McConkey, again, it's Washington next week. So you hope that Ladd McConkey, Aronde Gadsden, who we both love, not making much of an impact in here. This game as the Giants defense plays a big role. And, Cease, oh, Giants fans, Paul Perticchese, we both love Paul. We both love him. He says, can't even have good vibes for a half. If you're a Giants fan, this is one of those good news, bad news. What do you want to hear first?
Yeah, what do you got? What do you want out there? Because Jackson Dart with a touchdown and a pick and also 10 carries, 54 yards, rushing touchdown. And here comes Russell Wilson. Cam Scatterboo, 25 carries, 79 yards on the day. Darius Slayton, 3 for 44. Malik Neighbors, 2 for 20. Theo Johnson with the receiving touchdown there as well. So good news is the win. Bloom, hit him with the bad news.
Yeah, let's get the bad news out of the way first. That Malik Neighbors, his knee bends awkwardly as he goes up, and then he comes down basically holding his knee as he hits the ground, and they're fearing a torn ACL.
Yeah.
Here's what we can say about Jackson Dart. Absolutely, his confidence is not false. He's very much, for a rookie in his first start. Not only is he not overwhelmed, there was a pass he made on a broken play near the goal line that Wan'Dale Robinson should have caught. Aloha Gilman made a really good play on it. The red zone, they stalled out some. You did see a touchdown on a Jackson Dart run. You see him productive as a runner overall. You see a touchdown, first NFL touchdown pass on a shovel pass to Theo Johnson. Theo Johnson, Wan'Dale Robinson, Darius Slayton playing a little bigger role, almost had a touchdown in this one. These are the players they're going to have to do more now without Malik Neighbors. Does give great cover to Brian Dable, right? Oh, well, just wait until next year when we get Malik Neighbors back. Please, one more year. Give me one more year. But Cam Scadboo is going to be a big part of it no matter what. Put in the work. Yeah, a little over 3 yards a carry, but just that mentality. And this is a team that I think with Scadaboo, with Dart's confidence, Cease, which I think is something they were noting from the day he showed up at training camp. It's sad. It's just sad. It's such a gut punch that they lose Neighbors because he is that extra dimension that could really allow everything to come to life in this offense. But I think they're establishing a mentality. I think they have some signature players, some players that light the fuse for them. And it's like Groundhog Day, Cease, but I think that we're probably seeing one more year of Dable and Shane, but with Jackson Dart, maybe it could be different.
My goodness. My goodness. All right. This league, always full of surprises. Is Saquon Barkley undefeatable? 31-25, the final score. Eagles over the Buccaneers. They're 4-0. Buccaneers are 3-1. Saquon gets twisted in this one. So much so it's like, I don't want to see the replay, but I kind of want to see the replay because I want to see the mechanics of the injury, channeling my inner Dr. Gene. And I was like, ooh, that ankle looked bad. It almost got rolled up on twice, and Barkley stayed in. So All right, let's talk about it. Jalen Hurts, 130 yards, 2 touchdowns, no INTs, both of them to Dallas Goedert, 4 for 37. Barkley with 43 yards on the ground, rushing touchdown, 2.3 a carry. 4 catches, 31 yards here. A.J. Brown, 2 for 7. Chat room's wondering, do you just shut him down? Devontae Smith, 2 for 29. Okay. Jalen Hurts, 9 for 62. So, and variations from the tush push. And Eagles, they're undefeated. All right. Probably continue next week against Denver, but we thought it would be like Barkley dominating every week, or AJ Brown just unstoppable with Devontae Smith, and it's like, no, but they're still winning.
Yeah, they're winning. They had a block punt touchdown in this one, and they're making plays when they need to make plays. So it's not necessarily bringing up a lot of fantasy stats, but it's resulting in wins. And again, the problem that we have here for fantasy is the defense is good enough, and Kevin Patullo and Jalen Hurts are going to be conservative when they are allowed to be conservative. And they were able to do that as Tampa. I mean, this is a tough team. Anytime you beat Tampa, you are in a fight. It's easy to somebody like, you knew you were in a fight, even if you won. You knew you were in a fight with this Tampa team, but they won the fight. They win the fight with, Jalen Hurts. He had some trouble with Todd Bowles before. Not a great fantasy game, but 2 touchdowns to Dallas Goedert. And there was an item this offseason that Goddard said, remember there were some trade rumors about him. But also he said he was excited about the role that Kevin Patullo had for him, the new offensive coordinator. That was 2 touchdown catches today. So, yeah, there's that role. And you saw, just great fire from these teams. Cooper DeJean gets a taunting penalty, then almost an interception right after that. And then we have almost bench clearing brawl. These are good teams. These are teams that play with emotion and harness that well. You saw a touchdown for Saquon Barkley on the tush push fake. Finally happens, Cease, where defense is going to overplay the tush push. So an easy touchdown for Saquon Barkley, but otherwise you can't run the ball against Tampa. I wouldn't be too worried about Barkley. I would be worried about Lane Johnson leaving with a shoulder injury. Remember that 2 weeks ago, it was classified as a neck injury, but it was a stinger. So let's watch that. And like you said, Cease, on the other hand, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, look, they're just not going to put the ball at risk throwing downfield if they don't need to win. And will that happen next week against Denver? I'm not sure. We're going to watch Denver against, since if Denver's offense doesn't roll like through the paper bag Cincinnati defense, then yeah, probably they can be conservative again. So it's good for the team. It's not necessarily good for fantasy. And Cease, even though it was a loss for Tampa, you still have to feel good about Baker Mayfield after this game.
And you have to feel good about Bucky Irving. Mm-hmm. He's got that fumble. And he's like, let me just get you in the end zone. Let me just get you, what was that, a 72-yarder? Right?
Yep.
Let me just give you big play after big play after big play. That is Bucky Irving. So yes, the fumble. But Bucky Irving, 15 carries, 63 yards on the day, 5 for 102 and a touchdown, the big 72-yarder. Emeka Egbuka has a 77-yarder, 4 for 101 and a touchdown there as well. Chris Godwin's back, 3 for 26. Might want to call PI when his jersey's being pulled off of him. Either way, Sterling Shepard, not a whole lot there. Kate Otten, not a whole lot. And, well, nobody else really did much, although Rachaad White had 4 catches. Mm-hmm. That's of note. And Baker, the baby maker, with 289, 2 touchdowns, 1 INTs. They're never going to stop fighting. They just didn't get the win today.
Yeah, not quite enough. But you love what you're seeing here, both from a fantasy perspective and this team being able to overcome adversity. Offensive line, big troubles. You did get Tristan Wirfs back. You lost Mike Evans, you get Chris Godwin back. But you're facing an Eagles team that certainly is no easy out. And early on, you give up a special teams touchdown, so you're behind the 8 ball. Mayfield really contained, the offense contained, but you see him hit Emeka Egbuka for a 77-yard touchdown. He keeps a play alive and finds Bucky Irving for a beautiful 72-yard touchdown. And this team, they were stopped on 4th down. Again, there was the Bucky Irving fumble. So you're making some inspired plays to make up for some big gaffes. There was a Chris Godwin drop on a long ball. But this team is just so resilient, and they're dangerous as far as Mayfield's ability. I don't think that people think of him like Patrick Mahomes, or they don't think of him like Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen. But he is another quarterback that, as the Eagles learned today, he keeps the whole field in play. You better be ready to defend the entire field, including as a runner, whenever everything breaks down. So you love that for fantasy if they can just get everybody healthy-ish at the same time. By the way, Chase McLaughlin hit field goals from 58 and 65 in this one. So, yeah, things are changing with field goal lengths. Next week against Seattle, that's going to be tough. But this was a fun game, kind of a playoff preview type game, and certainly on the fantasy side for Tampa at Buca, and we'll see Godwin start coming on. It did not disappoint.
Not a kicker guy, but when you see a kick kicked from the other side of the 50,
Right.
like, oh, got to be one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere Sean Payton's like, just get leverage. You'll block that thing. You'll block it all day.
These Lutz.
Whoa, hey, 20. Sorry, Joe. 26-0 Texans over the Titans. Do we have to talk about the Tennessee side, or can we just talk about Woody Marks? Woody Marks. 17 for 69. Nice. So many 69s today. Again, sorry, Joe. One rushing touchdown there as well. We're all 12. By the way, 4 for 50 and a receiving touchdown. Hey, Jaden Higgins did something. He had a receiving touchdown, catch for 24. Dalton Schultz, 5 for 30. Nico Collins, 4 for 79. Did I say that already? Nick Chubb, 13 for 47 in this contest. And CJ Stroud, 233, 2 touchdowns, no INTs. Tennessee's got a long way to go. Probably need a new head coach. Anyway, so yeah, opine on the Titans if you would like, Bloom.
Sure.
But they had the big old goose egg in Tennessee, or excuse me, Houston. Maybe they can build some confidence. But as I was meditating, I believe on Thursday in the morning, I came to, and I jotted it down. I think I might have texted it to myself. Confidence is not a cause, it's an effect. Action first must cause the effect that is momentum. So now Texans have some action.
Yeah.
Maybe they've got some momentum.
Right. It's early. It's still early. Tennessee, it's a long season, Tennessee. But you were hoping, now this was Cam Ward's stiffest test yet. Still no J.C. Latham, the right tackle. You were hoping that he could put into practice, like you said, the action he's had in the first 3 games, some modicum of success. They did get into field goal range twice early. Joey Sly missing, so he had a 60-something yard field goal early, but didn't hit his field goals here. You did see Cam Ward hit Alec Eomanor on an extended play, reminiscent of the touchdown, but otherwise, there's just nothing for this offense to hang their hat on this game.
Yeah.
Just a good old beatdown. And like you said, what it makes you think is that it for Brian Callahan? He just changed the play caller. That's going to do it. We're all looking for the guy who did this, right? So you're right. And then what is sad for Cam Ward is it sets up that I call the bear shuffle. It's not the Super Bowl shuffle, which we did when I was in 5th grade in the talent show, and it was wonderful. I was Steve Fuller, and I also had my saxophone, so I got to do the sax solo. Steve Fuller was part of the Super Bowl shuffle band. Anyway, why am I talking about this? Because, for Cam Ward, you're going to have a new head coach. You're going to have a new offense. And just when a group of people say, you're our guy, we're going to go ride together into the future to success. And then you look around and it's a bunch of different faces. Cam Ward's overcome a lot. Now, on the Houston side, you're calming down after that 0-3 start. This team with CJ Stroud was a perennial playoff team already, and a team that beat the Chargers last year in the playoffs. Stroud passed the test because you're thinking, man, this offense is looking morose. I want to see something against the Titans defense. And you saw it. You saw the touchdowns. You saw, of course, Nico Collins doing something in this game. And most importantly, that's still a committee, but Woody Marks pulling away, got a little banged up in the same after his first touchdown. And comes back and scores a second touchdown. Woody Marks. Yeah, he's going to be out there on the waiver wires. A lot of questions. Is this the guy? Preview. Here's your spoiler alert, Cease. Yeah. What are you waiting for? As this is a guy that's asserting his control. Houston going to Baltimore next week. So you're back to a win. Jaden Higgins with his first NFL touchdown also. You're back to winning. You're thinking about the team you've been. You see where you're at next week in Baltimore in a great test. And, every week it's a test for us, Cease. But I think that we're getting to cruising altitude now. We're certainly enjoying each other's company and the rituals. Thank you again, everybody that joins us here during the live show, especially when there's good football on. We feel the love. And seriously, I'm looking to the camera when I say this, for me, the ritual of hanging out with you, Cease, as many times as we get to hang out and hanging out with our people and doing these shows live, recording these shows, the couch, that's as big as watching the games and all of the exhilaration, because it is that very comforting presence. So thank you, everybody. Know that that love is being received. I hope it's being received on the other end. Certainly being received for our love for the game and what everybody lays on the line for us every week to make that compelling spectacle cease. And yeah, maybe we won't make such a spectacle for ourselves this week because we got to do the show a little bit earlier and we get some sleep on a Sunday night.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of sleep there. And Bloom is I believe you would agree with this sentiment, but it's like when you go to the movies, you want some popcorn, right? The popcorn's almost more attractive than the movie at times. You're like,
Sure.
it's okay, I got my popcorn. I don't want to watch the games and not talk to our people. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like, we got a lot to say. We want to hear what y'all think, and this live show gives us the outlet, especially during games. We have 300 people watching right now, like during live games.
Yeah.
So
No.
thank y'all for taking your time out.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, and the only way we can continue to repay what you give us is showing up and Cecil, as always, having the courage and the bravery to just be ourselves. Because hey, that's a brave act in this world today. So thank you, everybody, for giving us the license to do that and the encouragement. There's the confidence that we get from this action every week. And yet Tuesday morning, we'll be back with the Waiver Wire Show. Preview these games, rinse, repeat, enjoy the ride.
Let's go. Year 20 of the Audible. Make sure to follow Sigmund Bloom on Twitter at Sigmund Bloom. I think both of us have been on since 2009.
Yeah. Thanks, Mark Folletti.
Early adopter, thanks to Mark Folletti. So at Sigmund Bloom, the show is at the Audible. Make sure to follow all of our YouTube channels here at Football Guys and like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bells for all of our channels all the time, forever and ever and ever. And thank you. We appreciate you. If you want to leave us a tip, go to footballguys.com. Yeah. Sign up for our free daily newsletter. Get it right to your inbox, hot and fresh. And it is footballguys.com, free daily newsletter. If you like that and you like the show and you're like, these guys are so good, they don't do silly super chats, then subscribe to footballguys.com. That is the way you support our show. So thank you as always. He's Sigmund Bloom. I'm Cecil Lammy. We are the Audible. Stay tuned, and would you please stay frosty?